All right, ladies and gentlemen, your host again, Felix the B, and we are here at St. Paul's University today. As usual, we are tackling the issues that are affecting our society today. Alongside me is my co-host, Edwin Mwangi, together with our guest panelists. Allow me introduce them. On my right, let's start on my right. On my right, I have
Anne Gure.
Anne Gure,
Yes, and my name is Esther Masai.
Esther Masai,
By Edwin Mwangi.
Edwin Mwangi. So today we are tackling femicide, and from the start we'll just ask, what is femicide? Edwin, what is femicide?
At least according to what I've been hearing, I don't know, I stand to be corrected though.
Yes.
This is the intention, I would like to use the word intentional killing of members of the opposite gender, ladies, for malicious purposes, I would say.
Malicious.
With malicious intentions.
Okay. So let us understand that killing of a woman, a man, a boy, a girl or a child is classified as homicide. And now we have the question, how does a homicide become what we call a femicide?
Okay, a homicide becomes a femicide when there is hatred intentions towards killing the woman. Second, there is the obvious patterns left by the murderer, how he handles the body after, also tells us how it can be a femicide.
That's well. So Anne tells us we need to have a rationale or reason why the killer has murdered a woman. Now, Edwin, do you think it's like a tricky to like try and rationale why the motive behind a killing?
To rationalize it,
Yeah.
I would think it also depends with somebody's school of thought. For example, me, I come from a school of thought, if you would understand, called intersectionality. You know what it means?
Okay, to explain.
Intersectionality it's a concept that originated, I think, from the Afro-American sides, and it mostly states that everybody suffers certain levels of discrimination, regardless. It could be gender, it could be race, it could be for many reasons. So personally, I don't belong to the school of thought of femicide. It's a thing that I question so much. I like looking at things generally, and I know I would face a lot of backlash for doing that, but I normally feel like when you start narrowing things down, it's like, for example, for the cases of murder, taking someone's life, I normally feel like when we say it's femicide, we will start a gender war, because now, what if somebody else comes and says now femicide? I believe femicide is a joined word from the word female. So what if somebody comes with something like male side or something like that, male side you know now, and they have the right to do that.
Yeah.
So normally feel like looking at it from the point of femicide instead of criticizing murder in general. I normally feel like it would raise some unnecessary work, personally, from my
So you don't think we should have femicide?
I think we should condemn murder in general. We should say that nobody should be killed, because I've had a lot of people talk about many things. I don't know how I nobody should die. Doesn't matter
The gender.
doesn't matter the gender, even if I believe we all have the right to live, and nobody has the authority to take another person's life. But I would also not be ignorant of the fact that the majority of people who suffer from it are ladies. Because it's very hard to scare. Personally, sijai boy ameuawa ati gender ni hard. Okay, I've heard of people being chopped off like transformer cases, but that's survivable.
Watu wanakatwa mjuli zuko.
But you know, it has never been vocalized in such. So personally, I belong to that school of thought. I don't know what my sister would say.
Okay, ladies, do you think women are killed because they are women?
I don't think so. I think there are many reasons behind killing women, not only women, but behind killing. So you can't say women are killed because they are women, but maybe, and one of the reasons is maybe they are vulnerable. So that could be a factor. Yeah.
So we've gotten into why we are having femicides, or rather, these homicides. Because now here it seems we are agreeing we should not narrow down to gender. If it is murder, it is murder. Now, why are we having this kind of killings, especially for women? Why are we having these cases of femicides? What do you think is the root cause?
The root cause, I would say, number one, the issue about gender contributes a lot, because when you talk of things like, let's say, the concept of feminism, it creates the aspect of misogyny, and misandry. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So ni kumaanisha, when you see like when you start creating division in terms of gender, maybe feminism and masculinity, all those things narrow down to some of the ordinary things in society. Even if we would condemn feminism, is okay, there's nothing wrong about it. Masculinity is okay, there's nothing wrong about it. But once you pursue it too much, you start now going to the extreme. That creates natural hatred. So kwa zile za mnakaa na mtu kwa nyumba, okay, this doesn't apply to everybody, but I'm talking about people who might have a limited way of seeing things, especially from a social perspective. Mnakaa tu na mtu hivi kwa nyumba, unapata watu wako na domestic nini mingi, but naturally a man is stronger than a woman. So unapata mmekuwa tu na disagreement kidogo tu hivi na msupa kwa nyumba, na realize hapana, mademo na tubeba ufala, na yeye anaona hapana. So una result, unaanza kufight, and because you're stronger and maybe you've created resentment in you, unapata sometimes it could be intentional, sometimes it could be unintentional.
Okay, so
Unapata umepiga mtu kofi, ameangukia meza akaangukia akakufa.
That raises another question about the power dynamic setup. The power dynamic setup in our society, that is between men and women, you see. So this power dynamic setup was brought by this, it is a European thing, a white thing, because there was a journal which was written, and they considered women in Africa as what? As powerless. And so were we really having powerless women back then?
I don't think so. Personally, I don't think we've had powerless women a day in the past. We've had women who have like actively, what can I say, they've participated in our history too. We can talk about Mekatilili. She's a worthy example of how powerful a woman was in the traditional days. So I can't say as women we are powerless. Even from a long time ago, even from the Victorian era, we were not powerless. I can't say as a woman I'm a victim, because I know I have power behind being a woman.
I can say maybe the definition of power is in terms of physical strength.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that means now for us women in that dimension, we are not powerful in that dimension. But when you look at other aspects in terms of maybe multitasking and all other things, we are powerful.
We all have our strengths.
Yeah, we have our
Yeah.
We all
strengths
have
and
our
weaknesses.
weaknesses.
So you guys appreciate that. Now, in this thing of, according to research, we are told this power dynamic is one of the root cause of these femicides, because now in a family setup, the traditional family setup or the post-traditional family setup still remains the same. The thing with providing, well, nowadays both of us are out there and we are working ourselves out to make sure that we get something on the table, right?
Yes.
But going back to our houses, we still have the power dynamic ratio that now says this is what a man should do, this is what a woman should do. Here we can help each other. Edu, what do you think about that? Do you think this power dynamic, the sharing of it? Because I was in a meeting not a meeting per se, a club, and men are having talks, men are having talks, and one of them says, bana, my wife is a mheshimiwa, lakini akirudi kwa nyumba nilimwambia hiyo mchezo ya uheshimiwa ibaki wapi? Ibaki kwa mlango, alafu anasema hana shida, tulikubaliana hivyo. So akirudi kwa nyumba, hiyo uheshimiwa iko wapi?
Kwa mlango.
Iko kwa mlango. Do you think all ladies can behave like the mheshimiwa?
Not really. It's also a matter of personality. Okay. We have women who might be mellow by nature. There are those who are also aggressive in their pursuit of various ventures in life. So I think it's also a matter of personality. Unaweza pata mtu mwingine sasa acha kukua mheshimiwa. Yeye sio mheshimiwa lakini huwezi mshow kitu. So I think it also narrows down to personality. Kuna watu, you know, let me tell you, in the aspect of equality and gender and violence, there's a day we're having a conversation with some of my friends. Now, me, I grew up in a family of girls, and one of the things that I grew up swearing was that, and believing that it's totally wrong. Huwezi chapa dem, like beating a woman is terrible. It shouldn't happen. So as I was growing up as a young man, now that I'm older, I used to believe it kabisa until I grew up and saw that sometimes, unless you would avoid it kabisa, because I came across, I was kupitiaring somewhere kwa ka place kanaka hivi slab, not a slum, not a cool move. And then I heard a woman say, alikuwa hapo nje, I think they had some small disagreement with the husband. Yeah. And then Wodema akasema ati na imekuwa long tangu unichape. Alafu not in a good way. Ati wewe humboida hujanichapa. Really? It was a woman saying that, okay, she's a bit drunkard, you know, that kind of life. She's a bit, allow me to use the word wretched, just for today. So I was like, sometimes, hata ikuangi kutaka. Unapata, have you ever seen people who are dramatic? I don't advocate for violence, personally. So I would advise, although I'm not the best to advise, if you see someone is inclined towards things that might provoke you, it's better to avoid. Unajua kuna madem unaweza pata mtu akwambia nisiunichape, ama wewe si mwanaume. You know that's such kind of daring. Mpaka na provocative kabisa, mpaka na kuwekea mkono hivi, si unichape, guza. You know, yeah. So sometimes unapata you realize unaweza mgonga bila kutaka. You know, I've had these discussions with men. It's not right. And then unapata kuna zingine like mtu anakuongelesha vibaya kabisa. So I think it should also be upon us to limit zingine. You understand? Yeah. Should also, ukiona mtu, if you realize that the person you are dating, this goes to men now. If you realize the person you are dating is inclined towards making things that kusema vitu zinaweza kukasirisha, it's best tuachane na yeye. I'm telling you, there is no way you will swear hamtai kuwa na violence. Utapata hii beto umeitisha chakula, umegongwa na sahani. Ikiwa ya chakula nakasirika. You realize that kind of thing.
But yeah. As a nation, you know, we have put ourselves in such high moral pedestal as a country. Now it's like we are having a disconnect from this standard, and it's like we are being punished. We're being punished for like straying or maybe going against our set standards of morals. And now we are having every other kind of drama in Kenya. You know, some funny stories. Someone was killed because of ugali. Such is, I mean,
is that petty take a life?
So, I mean, how should we go back to those days whereby we are inclined to obey certain principles in terms of morals? Like, kuna zile tu, like, standard, like being raised up, kuna some things you wouldn't do. Like you're saying, growing up, unajua kuchapa msichana ni hatia, taboo, you see. But wewe ukitoka kwenye una notice kuna wenye wanataka hata kuchapwa.
And there are some who have grown up in families where they have seen violence, and so as a lady you find that someone is grown, she's been raised to be like a man. So you find that even now dealing with such kind of a girl, it's very difficult to avoid fights, but now you have to involve other people. But like having an intermediary in terms of maybe when fights come up, you know, disagreements and all that. Yeah, so that's to avoid for you to go further in terms of killing now, because I don't know, but I think so.
Intermediaries now, these are like wanaitwa aje, psychologists or what?
Couples, you can't go to couples therapy to fix. You can fix that because it's all about communicating.
Yeah.
And at some point before you got into a relationship with such a person, you should know their nature itself. Are they ready to submit to your dominant side? Are they ready to fit the role of your wife? That part where he said in a relationship it's all about personality. Before you two decided to get into this, did you all know how this person reacts to certain things? So you can't be with the person who pushes your trigger, and yet you knew from the start. So as an intermediary, maybe couples therapy can work.
Yeah. And how about now? There are those, let me say couples, like let's say our age right now. You're having your couple, and you don't even have the resources of going for therapy. How do you go about that?
How do you go about that? Okay, as a person, we are all young. I'm pretty sure you all have been in a relationship, one or two at such a young age, and as much as you can't afford to go to therapy, communication is therapy.
Very true.
Because you're going to sit in front of a person, tell them your issues, what's holding you back from talking between the both of you. So communication sometimes is the therapy you need. Yeah.
That is true. That is true. Communication also. So what we are agreeing on is that we should have communication between families, husband and wives, girlfriend and boyfriend, to avoid such things. Another thing, let me quote Sabina. She's called Sabina Chege. Sabina was saying that, you know, the mheshimiwa. Alikuwa anasema, you know, ladies, as much as we are marching out on the streets saying, stop killing women, but we should again know that we can't just wake up one morning and because you're a woman and the next day you're a CEO, just because you're a woman. You guys understand what I'm saying? That's what she said, Sabina herself, that as much as we are marching out on the streets saying stop killing women, the ladies out here should not expect things to come for free just because they are women. And so, just like every other person, they should put themselves out and work for what they think they deserve.
But I tend to disagree with some of her sentiments, because again, does that mean that the price they have to pay in Rama is death?
No.
You know, sometimes, again, it doesn't mean that all the girls who are killed in Airbnb, it doesn't mean again that wale wasichana wote wanauawa, it doesn't mean wanakuwa wameendea trading sex for money. Some of them are married women. You are generally uko home kwako, uko na bwana wako na huwezi jificha. Unapata you have a disagreement, ameuawa. So again, it's not a one-sided thing. Si ati ni kumaanisha ati the only girls wenye wanauawa ni wenye wanaenda kwa Airbnbs na those funny kind of guys. Sometimes it would happen. Kuna wenye wanafanya hivyo, but pia there are those who are innocent too. So we should also condemn it in general kabisa. It doesn't. That's why I started by saying nobody deserves to die. It doesn't mean you meet mtu Airbnb amekuja umelipa 3,000 ama 4 ama 5 na amekataa sasa ati unamchinja ama for rituals. You know, people sometimes it's like for rituals, sometimes inakaa tu ni malice, watu wengine wapata mtu amekatwa kichwa. So it doesn't justify murder. To me, siona kitu ina justify murder, especially when it takes that line. It doesn't mean that girls should now work hard. Working hard doesn't guarantee that. If at all we allow such kind of impunity, hata ukiwork hard bado utauawa. Even if you pay the right price, you will still be killed because utasoma, wende upate job poa, wende upatane na mtu wako na insecurities zake, mkosane akuue. So you understand such kind of things. So it doesn't mean that all girls wenye wako kwa hizo ni immorality imefanya wakufe. That's why I'm saying we just condemn murder in general. And then you had said something that we go back to the olden days. There is something that I say personally. There is nothing new under the sun. Even if we go back to the olden days, Unaona hata kitambo time za Yesu walikuwa wanasema hao watoto wa siku hizi ni wabaya sana. Hata in 1950s wale wenye walikuwa hao watoto wa siku hizi ni wabaya sana. Hata saa hizi you will still find parents saying hao watoto wa siku hizi hawasikii. So watoto wa siku hizi wajaanza saa hizi, walianza kitambo. So there is nothing new under the sun. If you would find some of those older women wenye walikuwa time za kitambo, I think violence was the order of the day. Nisikia tu stories za mshosho fulani akikupea story asikie sisi tulikuwa tunalala kwa mandizi, mzee amekuja akiwa bulevi akatuchapa akatufukuza. Sasa hiyo ilikuwa 1970s. Does it mean those were the good days? It doesn't mean that were the good days. And you'd still find in those 1950s and 60s and early it could be, there still was violence. Kulikuwa na watu tu wazuri pia. Kuna watu walikuwa na treat wife zao na wasichana wao vizuri. So it's not a matter of time. It's a matter of, I think, values that some should be actually imposed and held dear to our hearts. I think that should be the route to follow.
Now, talking of values, I do. You know, back in the days, kuna what we call taboos. There are things one could not do. Sindio?
Yeah.
Although some of those like taboos have been outdated or outruled, but there are these specific things which should be retained. Sindio?
Yeah.
You know, Edu, you are saying back then they had issues, but I can bet for sure there were not such issues. Mtu amekatwa kichwa iko maili 7, ingine iko Nakuru.
But let me tell you kitu moja Felix. You see, in the olden days, people used to die even other. It's easier because there is easy dissemination of information. Mtu anaweza uawa, unaweza pata wale wasichana wameuawa saa hizi ni very few as opposed to wenye maybe walikuwa wanauawa kitambo.
Acha bwana.
Unajua kwa nini? This is just by theory. We have easy information who disseminate easily saa hizi. Unaweza pata something happening maybe kwa stage ama tao, mtu tu record within a minute it's trending and all, imeenda viral. So unapata issue hiyo itachukuliwa with so much magnitude.
Okay.
Then unapata kuna another issue that is more pressing than that one, but maybe hakuna mtu ameona. So unapata hiyo imepewa less attention. Okay. So it's also a matter of dissemination. Kitambo when people used to raid and plunder villages. Let me give you a general setup. Let's say this was a village. Unapata venye tunaishi hivi, let's say sisi ni, allow me to use tribes. Wakikuyu wanaishi hapa peacefully with their wives. Then the Maasai live on the other side. Then the Maasai Morans are coming to raid the Kikuyu villages. What do you think they used to do? They used to kill people. They used to rape women, literally. They used to, wanawachukua by force, wanaenda now. They go marry them, by force, they kill their children. Do you think that was a good picture? But it doesn't happen nowadays. Understand? It doesn't happen nowadays. So, when I look in the past, there is nothing so much to be admired. So I'm actually haunted by the past. I would never want to go back to those days.
Okay.
Even the future right now, I don't think it's going to get any better. Unless now we uphold the values that you've been talking about, communication, talking about it. Yeah, because the more we harbor things inside now, that triggers you to act in such a manner. Yeah.
Okay. So lastly, I think in these societies, we are having a lot of things going on, from femicides to rape to, very many things. But again, they are not given prominence as such, like femicide. This is not the first time we are having a series of femicides. In 2019, from January, I think, to April, there was a recorded 46 cases of femicide. It was not just given the enough prominence it deserved. So maybe we are having dissemination of our information, but we're not we should really stop such things. So ladies and gentlemen, we are winding up, and before we do that, we'll just have a parting shot from each member. They'll tell us a parting shot, then we give it a wrap. We'll start with Anne here.
First is, nobody can ever justify taking a life. You can never justify taking a woman's life because she needed money, you were offering the money, or she was dressed in a certain way. You can never justify taking someone's life. You just took the you just took away somebody's opportunity to give a gift of birth to the world. Imagine you've metunyima mtoto for one, and second, you've taken away this person's future, which is not justifiable because everybody deserves to live and everybody deserves to enjoy their life.
Yeah, true.
So nobody can ever justify taking a life.
Estamos ahí.
Well, what I would say is that I think communication, I'm a communication student, and there are various means of communication. You can have interpersonal communication, you can have verbal communication, you can have non-verbal communication. So I think communication is very important, especially in matters entailing relationships. Communication is important, and also I would say the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, because wisdom is actually needed in every areas of our life. We need wisdom, and so wisdom even to deal with your partner is very important. Yeah.
Edwin Mwangi.
Yeah, I would say personally I don't see there is any reason. Hakuna sababu yote that you should take someone's, now that it's femicide, as you had put it. There's no reason to there's no reason to kill someone's daughter, now that that's the paramount issue. And also girls, there is no reason to kill somebody, because it goes both ways.
Yeah,
because
true.
everybody is capable of killing. So there is no reason actually to and if you know, the best advice would be, according to me, avoid things that trigger you. So avoid tu vitu zinaweza kutrigger kwa watu, tafuta watu mnasikizana, and you know some of those things will not be happening, because really killing somebody, it's not the right thing. It's really bad. And again, violence in general, and I would like for men to come up and condemn gender-based violence, and these people who suffer from, I don't know how to put it, gender. Unaona kama wanaume, if you would come out and condemn such kind of things, you won't suffer from them. And these things are rape, vitu kama hizo, killings, and sexual harassment. Because as men, if you allow this impunity to go on, if you allow this kind of impunity to go on, huyo dem aliuawa juu hata yeye alikuwa anaitisha pesa, huyo dem aliuawa juu ajui kupika, huyo dem, all manner of reasons, some are petty, such kind of things. Because if we don't condemn it, you and I, if we don't advocate for a society of civilized men, we will suffer as men. Ushaenda pahali, let me tell you, hakuna kitu mbaya kama, imagine you go to a place that is so uncivilized, you are with your sister, your mother, and I'm not saying this that you should resonate with only people when you are tied to you, even generally, mtu tu yote hata hapa. But let me put it in a way that it would really hurt you. Imagine you're with your sister, your mother, your wife, or your daughter, mepita pahali, you find a gang of guys, men. Sasa hapa hakuna dem, men, and you're with your daughter or whoever. And then they spank her. Ile kabisa, they sexually harass her ukiwa hapo. They really believe they did. Wao wanajua this is, we can have a pie, we can enjoy. They are 5 men. You are 1. What do you do? Nini?
Hapo ni kuweka nduru.
You see, but hata ukiweka nduru, do you think it's something that at the back of your mind, do you think it's something, it's very painful, you understand?
Yeah, it is.
So once we condemn these things, it won't happen to your sister, it won't happen to another lady that you don't know, it won't happen to, and it will come a time where people peacefully coexist.
How do men gather such confidence? Wamesimama to 5 of them and they are ready to do such a thing?
Disgusting.
Where do they gather your courage ya even touching? Wakiwa mtu anatembea with the dad and akona energy ya kumshinda.
It's uncivilization.
It's an uncivilized behavior.
Those are just
That's true.
things.
Hapo ndo unasema deranged behavior.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. And the parting shot is, let us all together condemn injustices as a whole, and we'll be better as a society. Sindio?
Yes.
Thank you so much, our guest panelists and my co-host Edwin Mwangi. I have been your host, Felix the Bee, and please, on all social media platforms, search for Makachinja TV. In YouTube, Makachinja TV podcast. Subscribe, share. Sawa. We'll be having we'll be releasing a podcast at least every other Thursday of the week. Expect us to release a video. Until next time, we say balance, do.
Adios.
Adios.